traveling and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's she doing in the car for like that long? She fine?
Yeah, she's been really good. She really just kind of lays there and chills. Um, we had the windows down for half of the ride and then up, and she enjoys definitely more of the windows down. And then you could tell she would just be content with laying there, and I put the windows down, and her head would just be up sniffing the wind. I'm like, all right,
Really?
definitely pretty lazy back there.
Rocky could care less about like having the windows down or up. He just,
Really?
yeah, he doesn't like stick his head out the window or anything, which makes me less nervous when I'm driving too. I'm always scared like the dog is gonna jump out.
Oh my God, no. I've seen like those, they have those like leash buckles that you can like snap into the seatbelt thing.
Mhm.
And I'm very, very happy that I've never had to worry about that with her. And I've actually trained her in the past how to jump out of the car window. Yeah, we're doing like different tactical training and stuff, like being in the car, you're waiting, the windows are down, and then like, oh, boom, and then take off. But never has any tendency to do it.
Thank God.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want him to know that's an option.
Recipe for to make her jump out of a car.
All right.
But she's been loving life, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, man. No, I remember taking Rocky down to Texas. It was one of the most fun things ever. Riding in a car with him all that way. It was like over 24 hours.
Oh my gosh. I bet he was loving life with you.
I mean, we just stopped like every like 2 hours whenever we like saw a field and played fetch, and so you'd sleep in the car. But
that's awesome.
But every hotel we stopped at had like 2 beds, so he was always like on his back, like sprawled out.
Oh my gosh.
He's usually with me, so
she basically took up the whole, like a whole half side of the king size bed we had. And she did not move from the moment she got in that bed until we were trying to check out. It's like, come on, Lex, you gotta go.
Yeah.
He wanted to move.
I tried to get Rocky to get out to the bus with me yesterday, and he just like picked up his head off the couch and went right back down. I was like, all right, dude, just staying home, I guess. I'm gonna try and get him moving today because I'm gonna be out there from 3 until 8 p.m. Yeah. All right, let's get started. We got, I don't know, I have a call at 11, so
we got to be off at what, 10:30?
10:30.
Yeah, she's got imaging.
Perfect. We can keep it to an hour.
Yeah.
But Nick, you want to go ahead and introduce our special guest for the day?
Let's go. Welcome to the Infinite Potential Experience Podcast. This is episode 8 here with Coach Alex, myself, and Hayley Scamurra, who's also my girlfriend. Very grateful and fortunate that my longtime passion, health and fitness, the Beast Bus, actually brought us together. Shout out to Evan, Liam, and Lacey, and their help in uniting us. But we're going to talk all about her experience growing up playing hockey and everything that she's been able to have access to and all the fun that we've had together. And yeah.
All right. So I guess I'll ask the first question to kind of get us started.
Yeah.
Because Nick's told me a lot about your background, where you're from, all that kind of stuff, but I've never heard it straight from you. So tell us a little bit about like how you grew up and how you got into hockey and all of that kind of stuff, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Buffalo, New York, so a lot colder there and a lot more hockey being played than like in Maryland where this guy lives. And yeah, my dad played professional hockey for the Washington Capitals in like the 70s and, you know, lives, breathes, eats hockey. So he got all of us kids into it. I have 3 older brothers who were also playing. And then my dad like remade our backyard, like added soil to it to make it flat in order to create an ice rink in the backyard. So he took it very seriously. And pretty much as soon as I could walk, he put me in skates. I don't think I was having it at first, so he had to bribe me with M&Ms to skate around the rink, which then obviously worked because I love hockey and
M&Ms.
And M&Ms. I now love those. So yeah, so I also wanted to be out there with my older brothers, so they would also put me in the net as goalie and just shoot at me all the time. But I just loved it. I wanted to be out there with them and enjoy it. So backyard rink is definitely like ultimate memory for me. And, I attribute that to like my love of the game now.
Cool. So your brothers played too?
Yeah. So they all played through like high school. And then, for guys, especially with hockey, you really have to love hockey because you typically don't go right to college, or, you have to like go to juniors and like delay that and like all this stuff. Whereas for women's hockey, it's a lot simpler of like a path where you go like youth hockey to like juniors to college. So then that's the path I took. And for them, they just didn't love hockey enough. So they all kind of stopped after high school.
Okay. Awesome. So when you started in the backyard, but then like, were you like Emma, who's one of our clients that is playing on like 5 different teams, or were you just like playing on your high school team and going through all of that, or what did that look like?
Yeah. So as a kid at the time, there weren't like any girls teams. So I played boys hockey until I was about 12. So I did 1 year of checking with the boys, which it was fun. It definitely taught me like that physical side of the game. But at times it was also like by that second year, I was kind of more afraid to play than I would have liked. So that's when I decided to start playing girls hockey. But in order to do that, I had to travel a lot. There weren't like a ton of options in my area, which is shocking. But I like played Rochester 1 year. Then I played in Buffalo another year. Then 3 years in my high school career, I played juniors in Canada. And so I drove an hour and a half, like each way, and practiced there 2-3 times a week, had games on the weekends. Like, granted, my dad did the driving, so
Thank God he loved it. Yeah.
But it was still super intense. Like how I kept up that schedule with high school, I have no idea. Like I was up at 6 a.m, wouldn't get home till midnight. Like it was insane. But I felt that it was like the best path for me in order to get like looked at by colleges and have the best competition to prepare me for college too.
High school is that time is awesome because like if you love something, you have all the time in the world to dedicate to it, and you probably were living, sleeping, dreaming hockey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're like me, I didn't care. Like school was an afterthought when it came. Sports was the most important thing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's awesome. So you went through all these circuits, and then when I guess like how did like the college opportunities come up, and where'd you end up going and kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I think you start getting recruited when you're like 14, I want to say at the time. So like sophomore in high school. It's pretty cool because they're approaching you and they want you to be a part of their program, and you get to kind of like test out the schools, see what you like, see what you don't like, and meet the girls on the team and things like that. So I was thinking about college far like earlier than any of my like counterparts in high school. So that part was kind of cool. So I personally wanted to like get away from like my hometown and like home state. I wanted to like get into a new area. So I was looking at schools out of state. And I visited Northeastern and just fell in love with it. So it's right in the city of Boston. And there was just a feeling I got as soon as I was on campus. I was like, this is it. Like, this is so cool. Like to be part of a city, but then it was like a campus feel. And the girls were just like incredible. And I loved like the coaching staff and their philosophies. And I just knew right away after my visit, I was like, this is the school. So yeah.
All 4 years there?
Yeah, all 4 years there.
All right. And then when you were doing that or playing in college, did you ever dream that you'd go on to play for like Team USA and that there would be a PWHL and you'd be doing it for a living?
Man, the goal was always Team USA for sure. But at a certain point, like it started to like affect how I was playing because I was so focused on that end goal instead of just being content and like working on where I was in the moment. And so I actually started working with a sports psychologist at Northeastern, and he helped me kind of be like, if you just continue being your best for the team that you're on now, whatever is meant to come will come. And from there, that's how I ended up getting the opportunity to play for Team USA, because I just said, okay, I'm going to let that go. And just like, if it happens, it's meant to be kind of thing. And then at that time, there was a pro league called the NWHL at the time. And luckily they had a team in Buffalo, New York. And so after my college career was over, I was able to play for them.
Okay.
And it was great because I was doing grad school at the time, playing in my hometown, living at home. Because again, at that time, the salaries were like minimal. Like I think I made maybe $5,000 a year. So you literally could not.
Yeah, it's not a salary.
Yeah, it's not a salary. It was a
That's
side
1 month rent.
job. So, but you know what I did? I was like, all right, I'm gonna be the best player I can be for this Buffalo team and just have fun and enjoy my time. And that's where I was recruited for Team USA, and I made my first USA camp in December of 2018. And then from there, I kept making teams with my hard work, and it was absolutely incredible. It was I couldn't believe it, honestly. I was just in shock because most of the time for Team USA, you're on the team as you're like when you're 18 years old and you stay on the team. Like if you're not in the feeder system at that point, it's usually a lost cause, to be honest. So I think me and like another girl on my team, Savannah, we were like the only ones who were like post grads who made the team for the first time.
You were both found causes.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely, I never expected that to be. I thought I'd be done after college for sure.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's always cool hearing about somebody that has a dream and then makes it happen, because so many people don't get to experience that. So obviously, like, hard work paid off to come to get you to that point. No, that's freaking awesome. But then how'd you get down to Maryland?
Yeah,
No.
how'd that happen?
That happened.
Well, my mom is from Maryland originally.
Okay.
That's actually how she met my dad in the first place, was when he was playing for the Capitals. Her sister was actually married to the goalie of the Capitals at the time. So that's how they had actually first met. And so my mom and like a lot of my extended family's in Maryland. So I made the Olympic team in 2022. And then after the Olympics, I finally had like a break. And with COVID and everything, I was like, I just really want to be with family, which was mainly in Maryland.
Okay.
And so I decided to just go there and spend my free time there. And luckily my teammate, Lacey Eden, is from the area. And I was like, so is there like training in Maryland? Like, what do you do like for hockey and things? Like, I just didn't even think there was any options.
She's like, so glad you asked.
Yeah. She was like, well, I see this guy like the outdoor gym. And, I was like, all right, that sounds fun. And so I started to do that. I found ice. And then I was like, I guess I can make this work here.
Yeah.
And so I just stayed in Maryland.
I think so. She came down. Was it like towards the end of April you started? It was really like right towards the end of April. And I think originally you were going to be there just through maybe June with your family.
Yeah.
And then, well, the training was just so bomb. We extended it through the summer. She stayed.
Yeah.
And then after that the Camp and Worlds in August, she's like, do you do training, during the winter? And I was like, yeah. She's like, all right, I know where I'm going to be staying.
Yeah. You want to freeze your butt off outside with us at the bus?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Speaking of, it's been so nice the last couple of days. I've been waiting for like this moment. I was in a tank top yesterday for the first time in forever, not having to worry about like having the Canada sweaters that you guys got me when I'm out there, because I don't have any cold gear. I'm not an outdoorsy person during the winter, so it's so nice to be in the sun. Okay, cool. So we'll get to training in a second, and I want to figure out like what you did to lead up to that point. And we kind of understand what Nick does for training and what we do for training out there, but you touched on the Olympics. So Beijing, a lot of people don't have like an insight to what that experience is like. So let's go into that for a while, because that's got to be like one of the most incredible experiences of your life, right?
Yes, it was. I mean, it's indescribable, to be honest, but also it was during COVID. So there's also that twinge of just like, it was so insane on so many levels. But I mean, to make that team was just a lifelong goal of mine. So I think that in and of itself was just unbelievable for me. And then to be able to be there and see all the athletes and be in the Olympic Village, and I just loved every second of it. It was just amazing. And I mean, all-time favorite moment was the opening ceremonies. So we, USA, by the way, has the best outfits. We get like decked out before you go to the Olympics. Ralph Lauren, Nike, Skims, like you name it, all these clothes, like you get 3 suitcases that just get sent to China for you.
What?
Only clothes you need to bring are like dress clothes and like, you know, if you want like a comfy outfit like in your room, but otherwise you're always just wearing USA gear. And
Jumpsuits?
say oh my god, it's like sweatsuits and
So awesome.
yeah, they were sick. We definitely had the coolest outfits and like an array of outfits, where I feel like other countries only have like 1 or like 3 things to wear. We had, oh my god, limitless. I have a huge closet filled with it. Anyway, but yeah, opening ceremonies was sick. So we're all together with our USA squad. There's like 200 of us, which just kind of puts it in perspective, like how unique the opportunity was. Like that's it, 200 people from the United States representing at Winter Olympics. Like it was just so cool. Got to meet Shaun White.
I was gonna say, how about that little didn't you make an appearance in his documentary?
I did. He had
Really?
he had his GoPro and he was like doing like a selfie video for his documentary that's on HBO. And I look over and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm right next to Shaun White. And like we like cheer together like in the selfie video that's in the documentary. So that was really cool. But like there he is at his 5th Olympics and he looked like it was his first time. Like he was so excited. And then that's just like the magic of the opening ceremonies. It's just like there's all the lights and all the like the dancers on like the stage, and you just walk through and it's just, oh my gosh, it was amazing. Like tears in my eyes. It was incredible.
That's so cool. You guys like do like all the athletes stay in like one place when you're out there?
So there's like, yeah, it's basically like a college campus, to be honest. So there's all these different like dorm buildings, and there was like one main cafeteria where everyone went, which is so insane. And yeah, that's where everyone is. So you're, you know, but granted, again, with COVID and stuff, there wasn't as much like interaction with people as there normally is. So, and you're also just wearing masks all the time. There was like partitions at the lunch rooms, like things like that. It was nuts. But yeah, everyone goes there for the meals, and then there's like there was like a little mall area with like a KFC and a Pizza Hut. Like
No subway? No subways?
No subways.
Dang.
No subways. Yeah, so it was incredibly amazing.
It's so cool. And then how long do you like stay over there? I'm sure like the travel was a nightmare because of COVID. So like getting there probably takes a while.
It does, but also we got to like charter flight. So like we got on this like USA Delta plane, which was sick. And so all the athletes were on this flight from LA, because before you go to the Olympics, you go to LA to get all the clothes and try them on and things like that.
Little shopping spree, no big deal.
Yeah, it's really cool.
In LA.
Yeah. So we do a little red carpet thing to get onto the plane, and then it was a 15-hour flight. So we did make one stop in like I think Seoul, because I think technically you have to for the flight people, because they needed like shift. And then so luckily for that reason, flight wasn't like too bad. But just long.
Do you get like special treatment so you don't have to go through customs and all that stuff, or you still have to figure out that?
No, we didn't have to go through any of that stuff. So and then when we got to the airport, no one else was there because of COVID. So it was actually kind of freaky. It was just like a dead zone, like ghost town.
Nobody.
Yeah. There's like no people. And then you get on the bus and go right to the Olympic Village. So it was.
And you guys crushed that year too.
We got second.
But that's crushing in the Olympics.
I know. I did come back with a medal, so like that's incredible. And I think it's definitely tough just because like you lose that final game. So there's definitely that like twinge of sadness, but then you realize like how many people leave the Olympics without anything. And so that really put it in perspective for me. And now I'm very grateful and very proud of that medal. But it took a little bit for sure. It was definitely disheartening and sad because like you come back and like it's just nothing really happens. But when you win gold, you go on press tours, you do all this stuff, you get all this like, you know,
so 2026 we know.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's coming.
Yeah, exactly. So but no, I'm very proud of that.
So then you touched on training and coming out with to the Beast Bus with Stoop, but what were you doing for training beforehand? Because you're obviously coming to Maryland and you like look for it right away. So you're obviously doing something for training other than just skating and being awesome at hockey.
When did you like first start doing stuff outside of like hockey for prepping and getting to that next level?
To be honest, I started working out when I was like 10 years old, which I think was pretty young at the time. Like, but I worked out with like my older brother Travis and
Emma
his
would be
hockey
proud.
team. Yeah. But I loved it too. Like it was so much, it was a lot of fun. But most of that was like, I would say it was like body weight stuff, things like that, like conditioning in that sense, like HIIT workouts. And then I'm trying to think when I would have started. I probably started weight training once I was in high school.
Did they have like team lifts and stuff for you in high school, or was it more
No,
like
it was
on your own?
on my own. Yeah, I had my own like individual trainer I worked with. And if anything was with the team, it was very like low key kind of stuff before practice, maybe. But again, I don't remember it ever being like what we do or anything like that. So I had to find that on my own and get like my own trainer in high school.
How did that change when you went from high school to college?
College was definitely more like organized workouts for sure. There was more fitness testing, things like that prior to coming in, getting summer workouts. So college was definitely where it ramped up. But I think for me, I was prepared for it because I was already kind of doing that stuff in high school. But a lot of my counterparts weren't. Like like college was kind of like their first time working out. But I've always loved going to the gym and working out. So that wasn't an issue for me. But college definitely ramped up.
And in college, you mentioned having like a sports psych, someone there to help you with that. Did they have, definitely want to hear a little bit more about that. And then did they also have anything to help with like nutrition? And how was like the experience with like having stuff for recovery and healing and all that?
So sports psych in college was the first time I did anything for like the mental side of the game. I would say that was definitely something there was no focus on when you're younger. And something I wish
or even
there
awareness
was.
of
Yeah,
that you can really be doing that.
Yeah, it's not like I was like even seeking it out, right? It was just like not even a thought. And then in college, I had the sports psych, which I loved working with him. He was just a resource we were just told about that you could go see. You obviously did not have to see him.
Was he like an on-campus like kind of staff for the sports teams and stuff?
For all the sports teams.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he was great. And then nutrition-wise, we didn't have anyone, I don't believe. I think I like distinctly remember like freshman year, our meals were terrible. We got like, it was a place called B-Hop, and that's where our pregame meals were from. And they were these like greasy, like what you would get like on a night out in college. You know what I mean?
That's what you hear, because they just want to they have a budget, right? So it ends up being, how can they feed the most people for the least amount of money? It has nothing to do with.
Yes, it was tough. And then I remember our protein shakes were not very good. I think it was called Rock and Refuel, or it was something where they weren't like good quality. And I think I remember Kendall, a teammate of mine who's also on my US team now, I think she like fought for us to get better protein like for after games and stuff. But we didn't.
Let's go, Kendall.
We didn't have a nutritionist. I don't think in my time there at all. I don't think we had a nutritionist. I think our AT was kind of in charge of like, getting the right stuff. And then eventually, as I went through the program, we had more funding and things like that. So, meals got better and nutrition was a little bit better, but no set nutritionist, which I think is a miss.
You'll appreciate this. I remember in college, like we'd have to go to the ATs to like, whatever supplements, you have to run it by them. They would look it up and stuff. And this was during the era in which they still had that like little chart on the wall about creatine and kidney health.
Oh no.
And I just remember seeing like, this is interesting. I'm pretty sure the metabolite of creatine in the body is creatinine that goes through the kidneys. When you excrete it, doesn't mean you have kidney damage. And when a kidney is working overtime, it is releasing creatinine because there's creatine in the muscles and all that. I'm surprised they haven't put 2 and 2 together. But that's when I was like, all right, I'm not asking them for supplement advice. I'm just gonna, it's not illegal, so it's not banned or anything.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
As long as it's not banned, but a lot of a lot of that stuff's like your mom Googles creatine, and she's
Oh
like,
my
yeah.
gosh.
When she sees it the first time you come home from GNC and you start lifting weights, and she's like, "What is this? Is it going to kill you?" Same thing with like whey protein powder. That's how colleges look at supplements. To be honest, it's like
Honestly, I remember
Through the
with
mom's lens.
like the US program, I think our strength trainer told me to have creatine. And I remember all the girls were like, Scams, you don't need creatine, you're jacked, And I'm like, is that gonna be bad? Like I didn't know. Like I was afraid it was gonna make me like
Too jacked.
like
Oh my
huge,
God.
And
it's
the
actually
trainer was like, that's not how it works.
yeah, it won't. It will make you like bigger, but like your muscle runs off of AMPK, and creatine actually can store like a precursor to that will get converted into AMPK. So like when you're working in a tired state, it'll give you more energy, but then also has like nootropic benefits outside of just like making you look more muscular. It has so many other benefits,
Right.
hydration,
Yeah.
everything else that comes along with it. So it's something everybody should take. But
It's the quickest naturally occurring. You have about 15 millimoles per kilogram of body weight. Most people, and a good number of people, especially people with more fast twitch, explosive muscle fibers, can actually store up to double that. And what happens when like you're going all out after this like first 5 seconds, you just burn through all ATP. You have nothing left. So your body needs to find that next energy store, which for going maximally, it's phosphocreatine. You take that one phosphate, boop, here you go, buddy. Keep going. And that's why you can sustain maximally for much longer. And there's so many other great benefits around, like the healing and neuroprotective. And to get people jacked, it's not the creatine, it's you doing all the work, and you'd have to work significantly to get that kind of jacked.
It's just saturating the muscle with water. It's not like you're putting on muscle at all.
Yeah, it really just hydrates. Yeah, it helps hydrate you so that you have everything in that cell to be able to function optimally. But I love most people, or like you give the recommendation, you should probably eat more protein. Well, I don't want to get jacked. Yeah. Well, you certainly don't want to fall apart, do you?
Don't worry. With that mindset, you won't get jacked. It's not in the cards. So to the nutritionist, yeah, it's frustrating with like colleges because you only hear about football players where they have somebody telling them what to eat to gain weight. And there's usually no other like person in the college, or they don't put a nutritionist in any other teams, or any of that kind of stuff. And it's just for linebackers, and they're like, you got to eat 10,000 calories a day. It's like, how big can we make you? And it doesn't matter if it's muscle or not. It's a resource that athletes should have, and being able to teach, I don't know, being able to teach athletes about that is definitely something me and Nick want to do, because you don't have any guidance. And I mean, we probably just had to learn 100% on our own. And most people don't have that drive to like completely learn about every facet of nutrition, because it's not as interesting to everybody as it was to us. So like I applied it to sport, and Nick applied it to sport, but most people probably didn't unless they were talking to us.
My freshman year in college, I could like you could pick one of the LAC classes or what, and I was like, they have nutrition. I'm gonna pick this because I want to learn about this so that I can apply this to myself. And yeah, my freshman year, that's really kind of what got me into the nutrition side of things. And I never had any guidance, any awareness of it prior to that. And most people go through the freshman 15 where they gain, and I came in pretty big, and I went the opposite way. I went minus 50 and went to the leanest, fastest, most explosive version of myself after having learned nutrition and how to properly apply it. So we'll definitely be teaching all you athletes.
I gained 30 pounds my freshman year.
I didn't have any problem gaining weight.
I graduated like 180 pounds. It's a little string bean.
I was solid like 210, and probably by I remember January 10th, I was 216 for our spring weigh-in when we came back for school, and I was like, all right, time to let's learn about this nutrition thing. Because they don't know what, they just tell me to like, all right, you need to gain weight. Oh, now you need to lose weight. And I'm like, which one is it and how does one do it? Google.
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Google, please tell me what to do today.
I was YouTube University.
Yeah, I love that. Dude.
Oh, I started. Cool. So college training got more specific and everything like that. And you said they had testing, which we hear a lot with college athletes. And I want to know what that looked like because I want to know how good your school was at training and all that kind of stuff.
It changed every year. I
Yeah.
think that was, so it was never really consistent. I mean, some of them were. I'm trying to think. Like we did like trap bar, max.
Dead?
Yeah. What else? I think we did the Cooper test a few times with the bike. I think where you go, is it like 6 miles? Have you heard of that one?
They have so many tests now.
It's like on the WAP bike, and you have to get to like 6 miles or something. It's your I forget. Honestly,
We definitely remember the Wingate test, don't we?
Yeah, that was a different time. I would get so panicked about testing. Like freshman year, it was really scary because I didn't know like how seriously they took it. And then after that, you realize like they don't
even know how seriously to
yeah,
take it.
like they don't really care. They're doing different tests each year. Like it doesn't.
They're just
honestly
checking the
matter.
box of having for you to do.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember other tests, to be honest with you.
Any
Those are
like
the
upper
top
body
two.
tests?
We must have done something upper body. I feel like we didn't really do bench though. Like for some reason, I'm not really remembering that unless I blocked it out of my memory because bench was not usually my forte.
Oh. What are we up to now? The last time we were getting after.
Well, now with this one here, you helped me with bench. I've gotten to like what 180.
185. Yeah, 185.
Yeah. So before my max was like 125. So, yeah, I can't really remember the other tests to be honest with you, but all I remember is that it just wasn't consistent. So I felt like it was kind of a waste of time. Oh, the 300-yard shuttle.
Okay.
Forgot about that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that one always scared me. That one.
Did they have you do it where you did one and try to like you did two, average under 60 seconds with like about like 2 minutes
2
in
minutes.
between?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. That would seem to be a pretty big one for most colleges at the time.
Yeah, so they're testing on this stuff once a year. It wasn't consistent, but like I'm sure like the deadlift was consistent, maybe squat was consistent. What did they do in between those years to help get those numbers to go up, if all? Because you hear with colleges, right? They do these tests, and then their workouts that they do for the entire year have nothing to do to improve the test. So then, like, you didn't get better.
And one of the things I always found,
you guys didn't push me to get better.
Like we never did deadlifts throughout the year. It's not like. And like, yeah, we just
not surprised.
I'm trying to remember what we didn't. Our workouts weren't like, they were okay. They weren't amazing like throughout my years.
Let me see if I can nail this. Was it like maybe 3, possibly 4 sets max of like usually 8 to maybe 12-ish of like 60 to 75%, and then they would kind of have it based on the percentages which week you would do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like most schools, I feel. And that was one of the, I mean, it would always impress me seeing all of our college athletes, their programs. And like, all right, coach, these are what we have this is for. And I'm like, I'll look at it and like, all right, let's look at what the purposes of these exercises, like, all right, what are the tests? Because like I know like most colleges unfortunately live by how the test results. Like, oh my God, if you didn't pass this test, even though they have no idea what those tests are actually testing, I was like, all right, we can look at this and we could see, are we covering everything out here? Do we need to add anything? Is there anything specific we need to make sure you're prepared for? And all the time it's like, LOL. Like you would definitely get a very little bit stronger if you did this. We're going to get you hella stronger. We'll get you that much stronger in one day. One set, actually.
Like summers, I would always do my own thing. Like they would give us workouts and I did whatever my trainer would have me do. And I crushed the tests. So it wasn't.
When you're focusing on, and this is something that we're going to be talking a lot about here a good bit, is like the testing and how it should be utilized and how it can be and the real benefits behind it. But I feel like most people they just test to test. It's just a
Yeah.
box to check. And I mean, you've seen this now at every level.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real rhyme or reason, and whatever they do test you on, there's not much really feedback as to like, okay, well, here's what this test kind of indicates, and here's how we can improve upon it. And they there's no consistency in the testing, so how can you really measure the consistent improvement based on that? And that when I got to work with St. Mary's, their men's and women's soccer and lacrosse teams, we had a lot of fun with it, and we really changed the way we viewed it. For us, it was all about this test is solely we're just using this as your new baseline. Do not think of this your playing time, or if you're going to make the team. It's not going to be on the merit of these tests. These tests are to see how much you've improved, and for like anybody who's coming in, it's to see how well you're able to maybe execute that off-season program coming into the fall, and where your baseline is now, so that we can take you through whether it was your fall in season for soccer or for lacrosse. And now we get to kind of go through a little mini cycle prep for fall ball, and then we're going straight into your off season. How we can use these tests to make sure we're assessing how much improvement you're gaining, how much you're getting out of the program, and what we could do to make that better for each one of you. And that was our only way that we viewed it. All the coaches were on board, which was awesome. I'm definitely grateful to have had coaches that were very receptive to the things that we got to implement. Because honestly, I mean, this is it. I'm sure you're seeing, like most coaches, it's like they're very specific with certain ways that they want things done. And I was very grateful that not for me, I was happy for the athlete's sake that we could do these things.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the biggest things that we implemented, you ready, was more rest. And this was some that it wasn't really, I didn't really get much pushback, but it was kind of a little bit of that like worried, like if we aren't doing something, like everybody else is. And I was like, that's understandable, but everybody else, like we don't want to be like everybody else. Number one. Number two, everybody else is just constantly breaking down their body, and they're not necessarily investing in the ability for that individual to recover so that they can compete maximally every day. And that's kind of where this gives us a huge advantage. And for a lot of that, we would even have like 2 rest days during the week, one of which would be an active recovery day in the pool. Injury rates seemed to be non-existent. It was wonderful. Their performance it drastically improved. They destroyed conference play. I don't even remember how bad they beat those teams to win the championship to go to the playoffs. I was like, yeah, this is why rest is so important, especially early in the season. You have a lot of people that are getting used to the increase in the volume, and then really later on in the season, that is when it's most prevalent. And I think UConn women's basketball, they lost 5 of their starting and like heavy played players from injury. That's a whole team. Like that's a whole team that's out there at a time that you lost to season-ending injuries. That, I mean, like granted they did well, but like if they were all healthy, how much further could you have gone? And that's something that I'm just hoping more and more sports, more and more levels of organizations can start to understand that importance and do something to implement it.
Cool. It always comes back to like, how can you get the most out of the least amount of work? That's how I've always looked at training, and especially for myself, but also for athletes, right? Because if you can make them fresh going into every single thing that they do, they perform at such a higher level than playing tired all the time, unless you can use playing tired as a way to kind of like taper back before a game. But if you're playing every single week, rest is way more important than something like that.
And we know how much of a fan I am of efficiency. And that's something that I mean, I'm just glad we're here to be able to impact the athletes and the individuals that we can, and at least spark that change in some way, shape, or form with those that we can directly impact. And hopefully that that'll create a ripple that allows for more people to do the same.
Did all that training, and that gives like a good timeline of everything that you're doing. And then you came down to Crofton. What was the biggest difference in training, and what changes did you make? The bands, how did that? I'm sure that was kind of a new experience when it comes to training athletically and things like that. So talk to us about that and like how that was different and like the changes that you saw.
Yeah. Definitely the first time using bands that often, I would say. We also used like chains, and then like I think the best part about going to the gym with him as my trainer was just how much fun we had every time we were out there, and like just doing different things and like exploring how you can make the workouts fun and unique every time, and then continue to get better with that. I mean, that first summer I was in the best shape of my life, 100%. Like I was the leanest I'd ever been, the quickest, like you name it. And then especially with him, he's just like a wealth of knowledge. So it's like, he's my nutritionist, he's my PT, he's my trainer, like all these different things he can do. And it was nice to have like that person to go to that could kind of help me with all those things instead of having all these different like voices I had to go to. So that was huge. Oh, and mindset, obviously. I think he's the only trainer I've ever had who's been that good with the mindset stuff. I think he helped me, I mean, in every aspect, on the ice, off the ice. I think there was always a lot of anxiety with like testing or like certain conditioning things, and he would help me like ease those, which was nice. I don't think I ever had a trainer who did that. So yeah, very grateful for.
I mean, for you, one of the most noticeable difference after that, we only really had like 2.5 months that first summer. And real quick to bring in the bands again is like when you there was like a 2-week period where you were away with your family. And what do we have you do? And then you had your family do.
Yeah, well, so I was really nervous because my brother had a wedding in Portugal in July, and it was, I think it was a month before August camp for USA Hockey.
You got back and you only had 3 weeks prior to leaving, I remember.
Yeah. And so I was really nervous about it. And like during the summer, I get really nervous about like taking any sort of rest or any sort of break because I was
not anymore.
Correct. Past tense. And I remember being really nervous about it. And he was really helpful during that time because he was like, rest will be good for you during this time. And then you'll be able to go back at it and be even stronger. Right. And he's like, I'll give you some band workouts to do while you're there, and you'll come back, you'll be fine. Like, I promise. I was like, okay.
What was the biggest focus that we wanted for you during that time with your family?
To enjoy my time with my family.
I want you to repeat that one more time.
To enjoy my time with my family.
Yeah, to be present and enjoy your time, especially when it's with your family.
Yeah. So that was huge. And I did a band workout like a few times, went in the pool, I think once, nothing too crazy. And I enjoyed my time there. And it was probably the first time I had taken a break where I wasn't like anxious about coming back and like being in shape, out of shape, whatever. And it was so funny. I came back and I think I hit a PR with my bench press.
You hit a couple PRs, I remember.
He was like, interesting.
How that works.
Rest made you stronger. So now I kind of have that mantra in my head. I think that like memory really helped ingrain that for me, and that I will be okay with rest. It will not make me weaker or slower or less conditioned, things like that.
And then invariably, when you went back to that August camp, I remember you were sharing with me how there were so many noticeable differences that everybody could not only see it, they were commenting on it, both like just on and off the ice. Even your coach, when doing that one drill with like the wall, doing like wall battles and stuff.
He said we were doing a drill and like the coach would like put fake pressure on you kind of, and you had to like blow through them. And then I was up in line. He's like, I ain't going. Let me go ahead. And like all my testing, I did really well. Like I was in like the top % for like what is it, the 5-10-5, the sprint thing. Which is not, typically that was not my like strongest suit. My strongest suit's usually like leg power, things like that, like weight wise. So the I was good with that agility, and that like top percentile was huge. So
it's pretty cool because we had a really similar experience with the St. Mary's teams. And I always loved being able to take them through the test. We took them through the same test, and the only purpose of those tests was to measure their progress. And the reason why we do the same test is so that we can assess that progress unilaterally throughout. And the 5-10-5 invariably, like the whole team significantly better.
Mhm.
And it's really cool to see how many people share in that experience through what we implement.
Mhm.
And because that is definitely a test that's commonly implemented and utilized by many different sports and on many different levels. So that was definitely one that we have as a focus to prep anybody, whether we're also doing their testing or they're going back to school or getting ready for another tryout or something where they might have that test. And it's fun seeing how our athletes do going into these tests compared to anybody else. And for me, it's mostly not just like obviously we know they're going to kick their ass from the physical standpoint, but it's just the level of confidence and the mindset and the significant reduction in the stress around it, where everybody is freaking out about it. Our athletes are laughing about it by the time we get them there. And I kind of like to mention, like for your college, we have, this is pretty cool. So we have one of our athletes, Maddie's there now, and then we'll have another one, Tristan. She's going to be going there as well. And it was fun because Maddie's first year, we were helping her prep for all that stuff, and she was going through the same thing with the test, like worried about the test and stuff, and how much of a difference she had when she actually went into it. The confidence in her mindset completely changed getting ready for that. And I think this was also, so she had shoulder surgery. I think it was like that March or April. And we got to start working with her. I think it was like maybe end of July, end of July. And she wasn't even going to be cleared for upper body stuff, I think, until to September, potentially October. And not even, this is kind of where some of the guided healing stuff started. I was implementing things and didn't have it as like structurally as I do now. It was kind of as I was learning more and being able to apply it more, I was kind of molding it. But she was one of the first people that we did a couple of different things. The first thing that we had done was I had your dad do this with the visualization where eyes are closed, you're moving the arm that is healthy, and you're visualizing both arms going back and then come down. We do that a couple of times. And then I had at the last rep, eyes closed, you do that again with both the arms, and then you open your eyes to see the difference. And I just remember how mind blown she was by that. And that's like your dad as well. And then we had her do just a few things with the bands and release some of that tension. And I had showed you those pictures. I wish I had gotten before pictures where she was kind of had the band like this and those positions, the yellow band and stuff. And like, it was immensely better. She was doing pull-ups and crushing them. She already crushes them anyway. All of our athletes do. But I remember her going back to get to the doctor to, to get assessed and stuff prior to going to school. I was like, wow, okay, you're good to go. And I was like, well, a month and a half, we cut that whole thing off. A whole month and a half you had. So now you can get back there and start executing from day one. And you don't have to worry about trying as a freshman. You're trying to earn a spot on the team and a potential playing spot. You're coming in, if you're coming in injured, you're kind of already, you're starting well behind in the sense that now you got to try to catch back up to what used to be your 100%. And then now you're going to try to compete with these other athletes that are healthy and that are, sophomores, juniors, or seniors that have that have been seen by the coaches and have kind of more of a defined role and have more familiarity with like the testing and the program and just how everything goes, where as a freshman there's so many new things that you're trying to take in. The last thing that you really want to be worried about is this injury that I had sustained, from playing is going to be what's going to hold me back from potentially making this team that I want to be playing on next year, because they don't know me. They haven't seen me as much as like my coaches that I was just with. So that is awesome. And we've had our fair share of opportunities for us using like the guided healing and stuff. And I think one of the first, it was really over the first summer, is when we started kind of implementing some of it with just some of like the tension and the tightness that you had experienced, and kind of releasing a lot of that and allowing your body to realign and reset, and how much your body was able to recover, and the sheer amount of improvement in your strength, your power, your performance, not only out at the bus with everything, but also on the ice. Do you remember how many healing opportunities per se you had, like since starting with us really in that April, May, over the summer?
I mean, I would say by the middle of the summer, there wasn't really anything for you to work on anymore. I think it was virtually fixed. It was like shoulder a lot, wrist, maybe like legs a little bit, I'm sure. But yeah, by midsummer I feel like we weren't really even needing to do it anymore.
And then I mean, how did you know how many potential healing opportunities from that middle of that summer all the way up through the end of that next last year's Worlds and last year's Pro League had you experienced?
There was only the one with my hand, which I just remembered, where it was right before.
Oh yeah, this is pretty cool.
It was at Worlds tryouts in August, and
so this is right after our first summer together.
Yes, and I last scrimmage of the camp, I landed on my hand weird with the butt end of my stick, and they thought I might have had a scaphoid fracture, and I was like, okay, this isn't the greatest timing. I found out I made the team, but had to go get x-rays and things like that. And I think, was it the night before, or it was after, it after or it must have been before the x-ray, right?
Yeah, so it was you told me, right, as soon as it happened, I remember you told me you had gotten, I asked how it went, and you said you had hurt your hand. Yeah.
So then the night before, he guided me through what to do. He sent his typical long text with all these steps and visualizing my hand doing what I want it to do on the ice, and imagining it healing and things like that, however you want to imagine it healing. And the next morning it was good, and I went to get the x-rays, and there was nothing.
I honestly forgot about that one.
Yeah, I just remembered it.
There was no breathing involved in that one. It was just visualization.
Yeah.
How insane did it seem to you at the very beginning when you started talking about all this stuff before you experienced it over and over again? Because I talk about it all the time. I'm just dude, no way.
Yeah. It was definitely it was his thing, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. But I think it also helped, he had told me about the documentary Heal on Amazon. I think after I watched that, it definitely changed kind of my mindset on that, because I think I used to think it was different. And I watched that, and I was like, okay, the mind is powerful, and let's give this a shot. Why not? What's it gonna do?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was insane.
We had used visualization more around the training, and really applying it with the different exercises we were doing. So it was really kind of how we kind of first introduced it and implemented it. And I mean, you had seen significant improvements just in how many bonus sets or reps did I have you do in those situations where we'd visualize, and then what would have been tough was like easy.
Yeah.
Just like boop.
Mhm.
And how many we got to see athletes of all age levels out
Mhm.
there
Mhm.
applying it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember some of Cooper's good old Coop, Quantum Coop. He was what, maybe 6th, 7th grade at that time.
Mhm.
So I remember you were out there where he was doing his bench press, and I would have him visualize, all right, we're getting ready. Just see yourself crushing this, flowing through it, and then seeing yourself do the whole thing, rack it, and see yourself celebrating and feeling how awesome that was.
Mhm.
And he's definitely he was more of like a okay, like he's very like but invariably, and anytime I kind of mention these things, I've never been wrong. So it's like after having tried it and like, okay, he's been persistent about this visualization thing. Let me try it. And he became real dialed real quick. And there was one where like he hit a PR on bench, and then he's like, I want to go again. I'm feeling it. I was like, let's keep going. So we did it again and did it again. And then we went for a third PR, and he didn't hit it. And so he wanted to try it again. I was like, all right, no problem. We'll move on. And next week we'll crush this. He's in the middle of doing the T-bar presses, and he's like, no, I'm going to do this. So after doing a few of the sets there, we go back, and he freaking crushed it. And even better, so before he left, he had a lacrosse tournament that weekend. So I told him, I was like, all right, I want you to visualize some of the plays that you want to see yourself making. Whether, it's riding after a shot, you're chasing a shot out, you get it, the dodge you're making, how you score. And I asked him what some of the ones that he wanted to visualize was, and he said, I'm visualizing the goalie making a save, coming out, and I just take him out, get the ball, and score. And I have to find this on one of my phones. His dad caught that on video. Was exactly what he was visualizing. That very weekend. Like he left, it was Thursday, that weekend. And I think from like it's moments like that where, and like just visualizing that stuff with the hand and how that just kind of takes you back to that state. And it's having that first personal experience that really kind of changes everything. And then after that kind of led to probably one of the best healing opportunities we've had to apply that. So after that x-ray came back, it's like, is this strontium in there? Who is this? Wolverine? Dang. You sure we got the right hand, the right person? But later on that season, there was another opportunity.
Yeah, I strained my groin. It was the week before finals for our PWHPA, which was our pro league last year. And I heard the pop on the ice, and I was like, oh shoot, like that is not what you want to hear. Groin.
Yeah.
So, luckily I was in Maryland at the time, and he he went into healing Nick mode, and we took different like supplements. We were putting like the icy hot stuff on it. What else? Visualizing
the release stuff.
Yeah. And then releasing on the other leg, right?
Yeah. So we had like a specific nutrient protocol, nutritional protocol. Then we're doing all of the release work, not only on that side but on the opposite side too. And also like shout out to Brenda who was able to help with the needling and everything. She does an amazing job with the way that she does it. I'm a big fan, and I love that we have her as a resource when we're back home. So that happened. That happened on the Saturday before the Saturday of that playoff weekend. And you were barely walking.
Yeah, like it was hurting to walk. Like I couldn't even like get into the bed properly. Like, it was insane. And then the next week we had to fly to LA for playoffs.
And that
Oh,
game
wow.
was Friday,
Yeah, was that following Friday.
less than a week, less than 6 days.
And so I hadn't been skating like the whole time. And then for that game, my coach was like, all right, like I had to wrap it like crazy. She's like, we'll play you like limited minutes, you know, because I was like, we got to, you know, because it was like that was the semifinal. Then the final would have been like 2 days later.
Yeah.
And so I played limited minutes and I was like, okay, it wasn't great, excuse me, but I could do it kind of thing. And then, you know, we kept doing the protocols and all that stuff. And then for the final game, I had it wrapped still, but it was like significantly better. And I played like normal minutes and we won the championship. So it was just insane. The fact that I strained my groin that badly and was able to play by that following Sunday.
Yeah, 8
Yeah,
days,
it's nuts.
8 days
Yeah.
ready to go. And
Yeah.
that one of the other concerns around that was only 2 weeks. So that championship game would have been 2 weeks prior to the next Worlds camp and Worlds. So there was obviously a lot of potential concern of like that type of injury. It's typically a 4 to 8 week recovery, and so there was, we'd worry about like having you play with the pro league, and like wanting to not have you like use it or anything during the time, and then like would you be ready to go? But honestly, after winning the championship, it was like a non-factor. It was like non-existent. We were able to continue prepping for that as if it never happened.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
One Worlds.
Hell
Yeah.
That's last year. What was the, I guess, recruitment process for the PWHL, and what's the whole backstory there? Because it's brand new this year. So, and you're one of the first to be drafted. So I want to know like what all that process looked like. How'd they find you? Obviously you're a huge name in women's hockey, so they knew who you were, but was there like a testing phase or tryouts or anything along those lines? Or
Yeah, so the league itself kind of came into play because we've had a lot of like iterations in the past of like pro leagues, and kind of like I was saying with the NWHL, which was prior, but like not making enough money to sustain a life. And then I think finally our investors kind of bought out the league that was still around. And now we have one league finally. Like before we had all these different competing leagues. So like talent was really spread. So this is like honestly the first time we've had one really strong league in North America. And which is just absolutely huge for our game. And the process of recruiting, it was crazy because there's so many free agents technically in that first year, because we there was all of us players who were playing pro hockey in those years, and then there was recent grads, so anyone could kind of be picked up. So GMs who are brand new to the job are calling you and asking you questions and seeing if it's like the right fit for what they're going for their team culture in a sense. And I just remember that the GM of Ottawa had mentioned that they wanted like gritty players. And I was like, well, that's me. Like, you're obviously going to have to call me. Check. And so I think I talked to four of the GMs of the 6 teams, and Ottawa definitely felt like the best fit.
okay.
But then the draft was in September, but you don't really know. They don't tell you when they're going to pick you, and you don't know if someone else is going to pick you up before they might want to pick you up. And they had to draft an entire team. Like that's not normal, right? Normally drafts are like maybe picking spots like that you might be lacking in. Like this is an entire team they had to pick. So it's kind of crazy when you think about it. And the draft was absolutely insane. It was a lot more nerve-wracking than I anticipated, because you're just sitting there. Everyone's just waiting for their name to be called. It takes forever.
Oh my gosh, yeah, between
it
each
took
one.
so long. And then when my name was finally called, it was just such a huge relief and so much excitement, because it was the team I really wanted to be a part of. And I knew some of the girls who had already been picked prior, and I felt like it was just a good fit for me. So that was just so exciting. It was so cool. He got to be there with me.
The
which was
draft
great.
day, it was so cool to be a part of that and get to just observe and experience and share that with you. And I mean, your dad, he was like a kid in a candy store, you know. Like
I've never seen him so excited.
Yeah, it was so sweet getting to see that too. I really enjoyed that. He was loving it.
Yes, then you got drafted, and then it was kind of a whirlwind after that. You kind of had to figure out where you were going to live in Ottawa.
How fast did you have to make the trip up there? I know this, but it was like super quick, like right afterwards, and you guys are like moving immediately.
Pretty much. I think we moved November 15th.
Yeah. And when were you drafted?
Yeah, I was drafted September 18th.
Yeah,
they had,
fast.
So, and they also had wasn't it rivalry series?
Oh my God. Yes, we had rivalry. So for USA Hockey, we do a thing called rivalry series with Canada where we play different games in different locations. And we had a week-long trip right before we had to move for our pro team's training camps. So that was its own little stressor. And then so training camp for Ottawa. If you weren't signed to a contract, you could go as like a free agent to the camp and like earn a contract in that sense. I was lucky and had a contract prior to that. And training camp was about a month long. And it was, scrimmages, practices, evaluations, testing. We did the beep test. We did a lot of different
the beep this test.
A lot of different like jumping stuff, bench, chin-ups. I don't think I did any weights, lower body. I don't recall. It was more like jumping stuff, I would say, and sprints, like just straight up sprints, time and stuff like that. But they were really good about that because they kind of knew we were coming from rivalry series and like how crazy all this was. So that
we're also going right back to rivalry series.
Yeah, to another rivalry series in December. So I think they were really great, and the trainers were very similar to like your mindset, where they were like, these numbers are not dictating whether you make the team. These numbers are strictly a baseline. There's no need to stress, like everyone, So I think
they're playing for Team USA. They can go watch you on TV.
Yeah, true. So that was the whole process. Then they picked their team the final team was picked by like December 11th, I want to say. And then, we got into like team stuff by then. So that was really cool.
Yeah. And then it started, it officially started. First game for the league was January 1st and yours was January 2nd. And that was such an amazing and electrifying environment. And what else happened on that day? How did that go?
I got the first franchise goal for our team. So that was really incredible.
Big LFG OTT vibes. And that's when LFG OTT was born.
Did you have that puck? You get to keep the puck?
I have it somewhere.
I think
I'm just hoping that you have it. That's so sick.
I had to really think about it. It's somewhere.
Not a lot of people can say something like that, It's so cool.
Oh, it's such an honor too. And it was incredible. Like our fans, I will never get over that first game. Like we got out there for warm-ups and the crowd was completely filled. So warm-ups is like, 30, 40 minutes before the game. Standing ovation, sold out. They had like little wristbands with like lights. Like it was just like, I was nervous for warm-ups. Like I was like, I've never had this many eyes on me in a warm-up. Like this is insane.
No, I need to get my passport done.
Yes.
So I can come up there and witness a game. Because whenever we went to some of the other teams, it seems like they have a hell of a fan base.
No, ours is the best by far. And they're just so incredibly supportive. And it's just such an honor to play in front of them, to be honest. It's just amazing. Like even other teams are like, okay, this is sick. Like even if they're getting booed, they're like, this is so cool. This is what it's meant to be.
That boo, you could just hear so many people booing at us in unison. It doesn't matter too, whether it's a weekday game or a weekend game, an early game or a late game. The fans here, they're always out in numbers and droves.
Yeah.
And it's always sold out. It's the most amazing environment as a fan to be a part of, and as a very biased one, it's awesome getting to see everybody cheer for you and leading a lot of those cheers too.
Yeah.
And you guys live walking distance from the
Yeah, I can just
Yeah,
walk to the
yeah.
rink every day, which is so nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
In the snow.
A few days was interesting for sure. It was a little chilly.
Every time I'd call Nick that first day, he's like, "We got another foot." I'm like, God, I'm pretty happy I'm not up there.
He was loving it though. He took the shoveling very seriously, and
They have so much better. Their shovels are better here. Their systems are better. Like honestly, it didn't matter how much snow we got. It didn't stop anything from happening.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
clothes, as you know, are definitely more suited for this. Definitely different than having to bundle up 6 layers deep back home. And here it's like, wow, okay, 2 layers and you're good.
Yeah,
Maryland calling for snow gets delays.
yeah, literally.
There's a 10% chance 2-hour delay.
Yeah. All right. You said you got to go at 10:30, so we got like 5 minutes left. So
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about like the athlete, total athlete experience. And I know Nick wanted to cover that, so I'll leave that up to him.
Yeah, the pro athlete experience. So we're super excited about bringing this to everybody. So this is exactly what we have our athletes like Hayley doing. It's all the same exact stuff. We believe in treating all of our athletes the same. We want all of our athletes to have all of the resources, from the mindset, the nutrition, the training, all of our signature PAP protocols, the recovery, the healing. Everybody should and deserves to have access to that. Even Lexi agrees. Thank you. She's a big fan of it too. So we wanted, since I know like our time is limited in the sense with how much we travel, and it's not as easy for us to just be able to provide all of this for everybody. We decided to come out with the pro athlete experience, which is everything all of our athletes from the highest level all the way down to our Emmas, our 10-year-olds, from a former 10-year-old starter to another 10-year-old that has access to. And it's designed to be everything that you could ever need, from all the resources, all of the knowledge, the wisdom, and our collective experience, so that you can have everything you ever need to be able to pursue your dreams. And like I remember, for me, one of the biggest motivators in starting my business was like I never had access to any of these resources. It was always just me and what I could learn on my own. And I was like, at the end of my career, I was like, how much bigger, faster, stronger, better could I have been if I knew what I knew now, if I had that starting? And I was like, well, I'm going to turn this question that I'll live with, into an answer for anybody else. And that's exactly what our intention was behind providing this, and doing it in a way that is much more affordable and cost effective than having to have a mindset professional and then going to someone else to have a nutritionist, and someone else that's a trainer, and then someone else who can help with the PT, and someone else that can do X, Y, and Z, where everything that you need is in one place with one team and an ever-growing database and resource for you. And that's honestly what we're the most excited about, being able to finally bring to everybody now.
Hell yeah. Anything that you guys want to cover before we kind of hop off here? We really appreciate you coming on, Hayley.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to you in forever. I can't wait for you guys have a long playoff journey ahead of you, but I can't wait for you to be back to Maryland so we can all hang out.
Yeah, I'm excited for off season this summer. So
We're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah.
The last thing we'll add is LFG
OTT.
Let's go.
All right. We'll see you in the next one, you beasts.
See ya.